I'm your brother in Christ, and we're talking about the coronavirus once again. This will be a state-by-state update on what's going on. Each one will be from each state's health department. So in the United States, we are seeing 4,552 cases and 85 deaths. In New York, we're seeing 950 cases and 9 deaths. In Washington, we're seeing 676 cases and 41 deaths. In California, we are seeing 494 cases and 6 deaths. In New Jersey, we're seeing 176 cases and 1 death. In Massachusetts, we are seeing 164 cases and 0 deaths. In Florida, we're seeing 138 cases and 4 deaths. In Colorado, we are seeing 136 cases and 1 death. In Georgia, we are seeing 121 cases and 1 death. In Louisiana, we are seeing 114 cases and 2 deaths. In Illinois, we are seeing 107 cases and no deaths. In Texas, we're seeing 80 cases and no deaths. In Pennsylvania, we are seeing 76 cases and no deaths. In Minnesota, we're seeing 54 cases and no deaths. In Michigan, we're seeing 53 cases and no deaths. In Tennessee, we're seeing 52 cases and no deaths. In Ohio, we're seeing 50 cases and no deaths. In Wisconsin, we are seeing 46 cases and no deaths. In Virginia, we are seeing 45 cases and 1 death. In Nevada, we are seeing 42 cases and 1 death. In Utah, we're seeing 39 cases and no deaths. In Maryland, we're seeing 39 cases and no deaths. In Oregon, we're seeing 38 cases and 1 death. In Nebraska, 33 cases and 0 deaths. In North Carolina, we see 33 cases and no deaths. In South Carolina, 33 cases and 1 death. In Connecticut, 26 cases and no deaths. In Indiana, we see 24 cases and 1 death. In Alabama, 23 cases and 0 deaths. In Iowa, 22 cases and no deaths. In Arkansas, 22 cases and no deaths. In Rhode Island, 21 cases and no deaths. In Kentucky, 21 cases and 1 death. Arizona, 18 cases, 0 deaths. In the District of Columbia, 17 cases, 0 deaths. In New Mexico, 17 cases and 0 deaths. In New Hampshire, 13 cases and 0 deaths. In Maine, 12 cases, 0 deaths. In Oklahoma, 10 cases, 0 deaths. In South Dakota, 10 cases and 1 death. In Mississippi, 10 cases, 0 deaths. In Kansas, 9 cases, 1 death. In Vermont, 8 cases and 0 deaths. In Delaware, 8 cases and 0 deaths. Hawaii, 7 cases and 0 deaths. Missouri, 6 cases and 0 deaths. Montana, 6 cases, 0 deaths. Iowa, 5 cases and 0 deaths. Wyoming, 3 cases, 0 deaths. North Dakota, 1 case, 0 deaths. Alaska, 1 case, 0 deaths. In the major events in the United States, Trump has released new guidelines for us to follow. I know Ohio has closed all dine-in restaurants, and the CDC has recommended strongly that events of 50 or more people should be canceled. Thank you so much for joining us, and God be with us.